Well, hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter Knowles and I live on this yet still engineless old wooden motor cruiser here in Victoria, British Columbia, along with the loving memory of my pup Geordie, and still working on it for some eventual cruising someday. And if that's the sort of thing you might be interested in, please consider sticking around and subscribing. We'd love to have you. Okay, well, this is a surprise. A surprise, because what a week this has been, hasn't it? Anyway, I shot all kinds of stuff, and while editing last night I realized I can't possibly get it into a single episode, so this is a bonus episode. Hope you enjoy. Let's get that oil pan swap thing done, eh? Right then, good morning. On to the next glorious step. Gotta get the old one into the truck and the new one out of the truck and onto the dolly. Well, there's more to it than that. We also have to change the oil pans, and that is annoying. Yeah, it's kind of a game of Tetris. What goes where? I'm thinking about it. Okay, drop the pan. Okay, moment of truth. Whew, and there's oil in it. I was afraid of that. Oh well, I've ever mentioned I hate oil. Whoops, I almost forgot to take the oil pickup off. If I don't take the short oil pan pickup off, the one on the other engine is much too deep and the oil pan won't fit on. Close. I have to acknowledge that this engine is never going to be viable again, and it's going to end up scrapped. It does mean I can take a bunch of spare parts off it. So for now I'm just trying to pull the engine back a bit so that I can turn it around, take the flywheel and bell housing off. Oh yeah, no problem. Not that it's not creepy. And I'm just going to leave a little tension on it to make life a little simpler. Okay, let's get all this weight off of here. And we'll start with the starter motor. Oh yeah. As we had to do on the old motor, we got to tap over all the little keepers. This person was very economical, only one tab on each one. There we go. Now, those are very rusty. I don't expect I'm going to be able to crack these at all simply by pulling on them. I'm going to have to lock the flywheel somehow, but let's give it a try. This is just making sure that all the tabs are all the way back. Yes! I don't quite understand these lockers because they're not attached to another bolt. Therefore, what do they do? Okay, so it's off and resting in there. This is where I get brave. Oh my God. I thought the last one was big. This one is 4 inches wide. All right, let's get this off of here, which is also not light. All right, well, the oil has slowed to a trickle, which is fine. At least it'll be well down in here so I can safely shut that off. The next trick, I knew this oil filter was going to give me grief. The way the cart works and the skid that I put on it, I'm just putting the engine mounts back on here. The 2x4 sits on here and it has to go right here, right here. There we go, okay. Oh God. Have I ever mentioned I hate oil? Oh, Jesus. Not too bad. All right, well, with that misery out of the way and the dipstick off, we're ready to take this out, put it on the ground, and lift it out of this oil pan and drop it right back in to the old oil pan. Now, I'm not officially changing the oil pan here in the parking lot. I want a more sterile environment, take my time, no chance of rain. It's actually starting to rain here. But I just need to put it on so that it's sort of enclosed when I take it down the dock and into the boat. Now, I had to do this in the parking lot, I don't know if I mentioned, because this oil pan is 2 inches deeper. As a result, it won't actually fit through the window into the wheelhouse. So that's why this had to happen here. Ugh. Okay, and we have separation. Oh my God, I may be in trouble. This is the balance shaft version of this engine, which means it's got a monstrous balance shaft thingy down here, which makes it run nice and smooth. Which I doubt will fit inside the smaller oil pan. Okay, hang on a sec. Okay, just my luck, started to dump rain. And I don't have a plan for this balance shaft thing. So I gotta button this up as much as I can today and keep the rain from washing oil off of things. So I got a tarp. Anyway, let me get on with that. All right, well, I've tidied up. New engine's on the dolly under an old carpet. Old engine's in the truck. Everything's largely put away. And I'll start doing some research on this balance shaft thing. Yuck. Okay, it's tomorrow. I can't say I'm in the best headspace right now about all this. I don't know really what I filmed in the last little bit. When the rainstorm came on, it got nasty in a hurry. I just had to be able to cover stuff up so it wouldn't. Anyway, so the new engine's under here. The old engine is back in the truck. The new engine has the balance shaft assembly slung underneath the crank in the sump, and that's super cool. That will, you know, make it a smoother running engine. I didn't know it would be there. If I'd done any homework, I would have figured that out. Is that because, is the deep oil pan because it needs to fit that, or because it was a stationary engine? These are the kinds of things we're going to figure out in the next little while. It's possible that I can still save the balance shaft assembly and use the old oil pan, maybe reconfiguring the oil pickup. But there's some complications with that, which we'll get into. Having to take the balance shaft assembly off means taking the whole front assembly off the engine. The water pump, timing chain, timing gear, case, timing gears, back of the case. It's a big job. Let's have a look at everything. Okay, first step. Let's clean this up and see what we think we can do. Lovely. I hate oil. Okay, I'm gonna call that clean enough to do the next step. And that step is disassemble whatever I need to do off the new engine's balance assembly, which is basically remove the oil pickup, get this oil pan on so that the bottom of the engine is protected, and get the motor in the boat, and then start thinking about what we're going to do. I've just measured the depth of the balance assembly into the pan, and 5.5 inches. However, the oil pickup tube or assembly, it's a casting on this, is another inch, 6.5 inches. And this gives me just barely 5.5 inches. So in theory, the balance assembly would just fit inside the pan, which is good news because I'm going to try and bolt this on the bottom just to get it back into the boat. But that doesn't mean it's a solution, because the oil pan is supposed to be full of oil, and the balance assembly is 2 spinning balance shafts which can't be sitting in oil or they'll create a frothy mess. So I need enough oil reserve below the balance shafts to be able to have a functional engine. Now some of you might be thinking, okay, go dry sump. Well, dry sump, hoses, more pumps, more... There are some other solutions. Let's just get it in the boat, because more rain's coming. And here we go with the big pan. Beast that it is. I don't know if it's going to be in my future, but I'm not throwing it out yet. Okay, so there's the oil pickup and strainer with some interesting junk strained out of it, zip tie, which definitely won't fit inside the little oil pan. It's really quite nicely made, all this. 10mm bolts. This is right when 10mm took over the world. Alright, so I have determined that this will just barely fit. Not going to be easy. Cast iron oil pan up into the air underneath the floating engine. I'm hesitant to just drop the engine onto the pan. That just seems a little hack, even for me. Fortunately, I do have these 2 studs that are protruding nicely to make this a lot easier than it might have been. Okay. So, it's just a matter of lining up 2 studs. Oh, had it. Stop swinging around, engine. There we go. Okay. It gets worse. I have to go look at the other oil pan. There are 2 little notches on the side of the deep oil pan to clear casting bosses on the balance assembly. So that's not going to work. Okay, well, you can see where this is going. At least for now, I have to put the oil pan, the old, the new, the big oil pan back on the engine, and then figure out how I'm going to get it in the boat. Yeah. So what I'm doing is lowering it very, very slowly, and I will guide this on just as it lands, if I'm lucky. There we go. Okay, so we'll be here a moment or 2 while we set up the tether line. Okay, give me some brake, give me some brake. There we go, beauty. Good, excellent. Done.
You're getting a little too good at this.
With the beans tour. Nope. We needed more weight on that dock. Force the thing up.
And now we gotta stand up off the dock.
Okay. I'm gonna take a little break. I'd say that means we made it. I'm parking right here overnight. Oh, now, how are we going to be able to get in the boat? Well, hello there and welcome to this bonus Travels with Geordie beer of the day. Because it's a full episode, we have to do a beer, and there's no harm in that because it's yet another glorious afternoon. Okay, maybe another novelty beer from a well-established brewer, which is Steel and Oak in Vancouver, and this is called To and Fro, which is a rhubarb ginger lemon ale. I love ginger. Rhubarb's pretty awesome. Anyway, again, it's a hazy, and so when I saw it in the liquor store, I said, I gotta see what that's gonna taste like. Of course, you Brits are very frustrated with my affection for these hazy beers because I realized they'd be sent back in Britain. Okay, To and Fro from Steel and Oak. Totally dish soap. You know, people have often asked if I'll ever pour a beer over the side. I'm going to see if it grows on me. There's even something wrong about the color of it. That's not much of a beer. Anyway, a good thing is no major thanks to do because, of course, it's only one day since the last episode. So, but I will announce yesterday's t-shirt winner, which was Terry Small. So, Terry, I'll get in touch with you, and you've won a Travels with Geordie t-shirt. And yeah, not much else to it, but I do want to say a little something about the engine and the oil pan and the balance shaft. The last part of the episode you just watched might look a little bit frustrated and maybe a little discouraged about the engine. It's going to be fine. Things look a little bit better than that. I think it's all going to work out. The next episode, I'm going to share with you some different versions, different options about how we could make it work. It's going to work, and it's just about how it's going to be done that we've got to figure out. So no worries, the motor is going in. In fact, to be frank, it may already be in, and but not in place. So that's all we're going to do for today. You guys need a word because this is a full episode. So the word of the day is going to be confident, because I am confident we're going to be driving this boat around. Maybe not quite as soon as I was hoping. I'm going to try to cheers on that. Cheers.